I think it's really important to take stock of those little bits of adversity along the way. Like, failure can sometimes be the beginning of something, or it's the middle of something. In fact, I'd say it's always the beginning or the middle of something, because you learn from those failures.
Yeah,
For me, a winning attitude is perseverance, setting yourself a goal and getting to that goal in whatever way you need to. Like, you don't have to get there quickly, you don't have to get there slowly. That's a winning attitude to me. Rally Richard, for the win.
I feel like happiness is peace and acceptance of yourself and other people around you. Like, I feel happy when I'm writing songs and I connect to myself. I feel happy when I'm just hanging out with my wife and that's like, we accept each other. My dog accepts me all the time and I accept him all the time.
I look at her growing up and think about myself growing up, and I was sad quite a lot when I was a kid, and there's lots of times where I was in like a lot of pain, and I look at her and I see how amazing she is, how confident she is, and I'm like, if you ever feel any pain, I'll like do anything in the world to take that away from you. I take it myself. And my wife was pregnant when we wrote this song, and I'd heard my daughter's heartbeat for the first time, and it was like, man, and I had that feeling then as well, even though I didn't really know her. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think that, like, not everybody wants to have children, not everybody can have children. And I don't think having a child is the only way that you can connect to that thing. I'll do anything to take that pain away from you. Like, I think that we should do it for ourselves as well. I think it's really fucking important to do that for ourselves. We look at ourselves when we were kids, and whatever pain or whatever it was that we were going through, we connect to that and we said, I got you. I got you now. And that's what this song is.
I feel like the reason you can't define normal is because it doesn't mean anything. I think it's like inherently intangible. It's what causes people to chase perfection. I've been really defined by thinking that I wasn't like other people, or the way that I thought was wrong. It's the thing of, you can't compare your insides to somebody else's outsides. You're only getting a piece of somebody. When you see somebody else and you perceive them to be normal, you're not seeing that person. It makes me think of like every single person in the world just walking around in a dark room just trying to find the light switch, but there's no switch. It can be something that feels tangible, because you can be like, oh well, I have a reference to something, but it can also be used, you can beat yourself with it.
I think that I am 100% still growing. I think it's essential to keep growing as an adult. I think that's kind of a huge part of what life is about, for me anyway. I think for most people, is learning to accept failure or setbacks or roadblocks as a part of success and growth. And I think my definition of success is growth and change and looking at things a little bit differently to how you have before. I would love to be in a place in a few years where I can be proud of myself for things that I've done and not be so critical of myself. Being able to look outside and be like, you've done well here, you've done a good thing. And I think I'm getting better at that. Sometimes it is just as simple as saying it to yourself until you believe it. And I think when I was a kid, going back to kind of like what were big dreams, there's like an in-between bit for me where I realized actually what I wanted to do was like, I wanted to try and do for other people what my favorite things did for me when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because I I suffer from depression and anxiety and like all kinds of stuff when I was a teenager. I didn't really have words for those things at the time. It's kind of only in hindsight that I'm like, oh, that's what that was. But like my favorite films like pulled me out of that, at least for a few hours or for a day or whatever. And my favorite music would pull me out of that. It meant I would leave the house and I'd walk around and I'd just listen to music.
Yeah.
And so I think that sort of became along the way like a dream of mine. I know it sounds maybe, I don't know if it sounds cheesy,
it doesn't.
but like
I think the way I make music is really selfish. I think that
Selfish in what way?
like it's like an exorcism for me. That's like, I've kind of come to that realization recently. That's like, if the things that are holding me back in some way or filling my brain and they're unmanageable things, if my outlet is to write a song, I'm getting as much of that stuff out of my head and putting it into a song. I'm transferring that energy. It doesn't mean it won't come back, but whatever that energy is on that day, if I've been honest and I've done what I set out to do, then it's gone by the end of the session. Like by the time that song's finished, for me, I'm like,
it's done.
Cool. I've been true to myself.
Yeah.
Been honest, and I now have made something positive out of something really difficult. In hindsight, when I finish the song, they're like, I hope this helps somebody in some way that feels the same way as me.
Even if it's just a small fragment of something of what you've written.
Yeah, I hope it helps them with their exorcism.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm putting exorcism into it as it's like
no,
some
but
sort of religious...
I do understand what you mean.
the song You're a Man Now Boy on the album it kind of sums up what the album's about. It's that thing of like being an adult and feeling like you should be an adult but not feeling like an adult.
Yeah.
And not really knowing what an adult is.
What's the biggest reality of that hitting you though?
I mean, actually the biggest realization I've had, even since like announcing the album and what it's called, is that people of all ages feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, like my 21-year-old sister thinks that she's supposed to be an adult and she doesn't feel like an adult at all. My dad is like in his 50s or whatever. I think he's in his, no, maybe he's not in his 50s.
You better get
anyway,
that right, though.
point is he's in his 40s or 50s and he's like, he doesn't feel like an adult yet. I was very like angry as a kid. You wouldn't necessarily know it, but I was like internally angry. Got scars on my hands from like punching inanimate objects. That's a form of self-harm. At some point, I'm not quite there yet. You have to let go of these things. I really just want to hug myself, like as a 6-year-old, as a 10-year-old, and just be like, do you know what? You're gonna be all right. I keep reminding myself, I think it's really important whenever something really positive happens in your life or something that matches what you wanted when you were a child, whenever it happens, that you kind of you remind the child version of you that you're actually doing that thing.
I want myself to be less cool and just like try and figure some shit out, like just try and almost like make objective kind statements, even if it's like just saying something that might seem destructive, but saying it's happening is better than like saying you're a bad person before it happened, or like you're wicked because you feel that way.
I'm going to leave you with a short message. No, mate, it probably won't be that short. Make sure you get time in a tree. Go outside if you can. Do something nice. Spend time with people you love. Go on adventures as much as you possibly can. Smile as much as you possibly can. Love as much as you possibly can. It's hard. It's a struggle to do that sometimes, but it's possible. You just have to push that little bit harder. I believe in you. Peace out. I'm Raddy Richie. Thank you.
Whatever you want to count counts, and whatever you don't want to count, it doesn't have to count. It doesn't have to define how this year's gone.
My journey's been full of potholes and and obstacles. But I think that generally speaking, with obstacles, they kind of make the I'm going to say temporary destination, because I feel like you always want to be you don't want to have like a kind of anxious eye to destination, so you're constantly thinking about the next thing so that you're not enjoying where you are. I think it's really important to be present if you can be.
Let's be a family. It would take a village to make a man of me. So why couldn't you love me? It's all I need.
Something I've realized probably more recently is that like I have to let people in, have to let people look after me. My village is my wife, my dog, my friends. Also people that listen to my music and feel understood. That's my village as well. Like we understand each other. We're together in this.
And just know that no matter where you are right now, no matter how you're feeling, if this is your lowest moment, just remember that in your universe and the people that love you most, you are the greatest.